Here we go. Here we go. All right. Thank you. All right. We're going to do a couple of toasts before the next course to try to keep things moving along tonight because I know there are a number of people who want to speak. But obviously, this is a big thrill for a lot of us here tonight, starting obviously with Tom and Caroline, but certainly for the parents and the family. And I want to thank you guys all again for being here. First of all, I want to say to the Elnicks, it's been wonderful getting to know you through this process. You guys were such good sports for the whole surprise engagement up in New Haven. Your family's awesome, came up there. Really, it's a memory that will last a long time, so thank you. Secondly, I really want to thank the Hicks family, the Clemens family, the Quazzo family. Over the years, you guys have been so supportive of Caroline and now Tom. And it's great having almost all the cousins here, all of Caroline's first cousins. I know Nick is going to be here shortly. And we miss Charles, but we know he's chasing NCAA glory somewhere. So we're good with that, believe me. I also want to thank, Caroline is very fortunate to have both of her grandmothers here tonight who have been big influences in her life. They have done a lot for Caroline. Her grandfathers cannot be here, but they are very much here in spirit, and we miss them. I want to thank the groomsmen, the bridesmaids. You guys have been so supportive, keeping Caroline and Tom out of trouble. I was really worried about New Orleans, but it seemed to work out okay. So thank you. We also have the godparents here tonight. Fortunately, they never had to step in, and I'm here, but I know you would have. Missy, Johnny, Constance, thank you guys. So it's really a celebratory thing. How do you summarize 29 years, Caroline? Okay. I'm going to sound like my mother and a doting parent, but I have to say you always have been and are the perfect child. I'm sorry, boys. I'm sorry, but it's true. Ever since you were little, you slept on airplanes and didn't make a peep. We'd take you to restaurants, put you under the table, no problem. During the 1992 Albertville Olympics, you just slept on my chest. I got to watch 3 weeks of Olympics. It was fantastic. You've always been able to communicate well with adults. I mean, it's really an amazing thing, even from when you were little. The only time I ever remember you freaking out in your whole life really was at your second birthday party when the clown showed up. So, note to Tom, don't dress up as a clown. It's probably good advice generally. Here in Chicago, Caroline had to apply and interview for kindergarten. Yes, interview for kindergarten. And she killed it. And she was one of 7 non-affiliated girls to get in that year. And I often sit back and wonder, I go, geez, what if Ben had been the oldest? Where would my kids be now? But, Caroline always, worked hard, set a good example. I mean, when it came time to figure out high school, she made the smart choice and went to Deerfield. Yay, we got a lot of alums here. She's perfectly on my not only my reunion schedule, but cousin Laura and cousin Helen also are on the same reunion schedule. So every 5 years, fantastic. She did the same thing for college, no 10-year plan or 7-year plan. Boom, 4 years, same schedule. Business school, not only mom's schedule, mom's section, perfect, just outstanding. And really, the best was, after being away from home for 14 years, being in Massachusetts and D.C. and California, a year and a half ago, you moved back to Chicago to live, and Tom, you get big points for that, buddy, big points. So I mean, it's really, I mean, it's, like I said, the perfect child. Okay, so I want to say I have three toasts here. I am wrapping this up, and I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I don't know if everybody knows how Caroline and Tom met. So there's this thing called Bumble, okay, and it's an app. It's sort of the female version of Tinder, and and it says a lot about both, frankly, very positive things. Now, I communicated with the head of Bumble, and she left Tinder, and so I want to bring out, I want to salute and thank Bumble. And I also, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Anthony Schurz, who he sort of supplemented Bumble and made sure that, you know, they were both okay. So hang on. Come with me. All right. So this is sponsored. You guys may appear in some future commercials, but they're thrilled you're going the distance. So, secondly, I mean, we really have to toast Tom here. I mean, Tom is amazing. Okay, amazing. Now, you know, I'll tell the story. Caroline, about 3 years ago, it was in the fall, and she said, "Hey, Dad, I want Tom to come down to Jacksonville for Thanksgiving." Now we had heard of Tom, but you know we hadn't met Tom. And I said, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, wait a second. All the Clemens cousins are going to be there. All the Hicks cousins are going to be there. Both your grandmothers are going to be there. Your brothers, Mom, and I mean, are you sure you want to subject this guy to 4 days in Jacksonville, Florida with the family? She said, absolutely. And I'm telling you, Tom killed it. And believe me, if he hadn't, he would have known it before the second meal, okay? So, and so, you know, it's been so great getting to know you. I mean, how lucky am I? I mean, he's hardworking, he's kind, he's funny. He's a Green Bay Packer fan. He loves to play golf. Are you kidding me? It doesn't get better than this. Now, he's got to work on his skiing a little bit, but you know, and he roams around Vail in a Harvard ski team jacket. And that Caroline gave him, and I'm really worried it's killing our recruiting. So, either he's going to become a good skier, or I'm going to personally buy him a brown ski jacket. Okay, but no. Nobody's perfect, but he's pretty damn close. So, and then Caroline, you know, what can I say? You know, not to get too philosophical, but you know, as parents, you raise your kids with good values, and you hope they make good decisions. You as much as we try as parents to make the decisions for you, you make them, and all your life, you've made nothing but great decisions. And in probably what is the most important decision of your life, you have chosen wisely. And so I just want to toast both of you, wish you a lifetime of health and happiness, and you know, join me in wishing them the very best. The Bumble. Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, that's a tough act to follow. First problem, it's a hard thing to follow a tall guy when you're a short guy with a tall mic. So, although I love Tom dearly, he's far from perfect. But to Lisa and myself, he's a perfect son. So, I did write a little, I wish I could follow and riff this, but I had to use my cell phone, I'm sorry. So those of you that don't know me, Bruce Elnick, I'm Tom's dad. So a few weeks ago, Tommy asked me if I'd say a speech at his wedding. And I kind of thought it was a joke. I never gave a speech at a wedding before. So a couple of days. So then in talking to Tom recently, I kind of got the feeling that he really wanted me to give a speech, but I thought, well, it had to be optional. So in thinking that, I really wasn't prepared until I spoke to Tom again this morning, and he said, well, the father of the groom will give a speech tonight. So I quickly went to my room while the girls went out and had celebrated their lunch today, and I just thought to myself that I could tell you some stories about Tommy and Caroline, and I decided that, you know, I could give them some advice, and I could say some sincere things from my heart to the couple, and that's what I decided to do. So tonight is really about two very dear people coming together and starting a life with family and friends as we celebrate the future of Caroline and Tom. As I look at these two beautiful young people tonight, I think back to when Tom first introduced us to Caroline just a few years back. And she was kind of quiet, kind of shy with us, but once we got to know Caroline, we could see why Tom fell in love with her. And they fit so well together. Caroline, we love you, and we couldn't be happier that you're marrying our son, Tom. Tom, your mother and I have always been proud of you and your accomplishments, never more than we are right now, and we both love you. So, I don't want to hold up the rest of the celebration. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. So let me wind up with a bit of sound advice to both Tom and Caroline. Every morning when you wake up, make a promise to yourselves that today you will be the very best spouses you can be. Always put each other's happiness before your own, and always perform at least one act of kindness with each other every day. When you do that, everything else will fall in place. Congratulations to both of you, Caroline and Tom. We love you, and may your marriage be blessed every single day of your lives.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann Miller. I'm Caroline's cousin, and I will be your MC for the evening. Thank you. Just like everything Caroline and Tom do, I heard that the MC vetting process was very well thought out and thorough, so I'm very honored to have been chosen over everyone else here this evening. So thank you, thank you. I want to start by thanking the Quazzos for putting on such a beautiful event, and I'm so excited to share this weekend with the Elnicks and the Quazzos. I know it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I also just want to take a second to point out how all of these people are together in this room who care and support and love you two so much, and just how special that is. One very important person in Caroline and I's lives who is not physically here with us tonight is Granddaddy, our grandfather, David Hicks. And for those of you who are giving a toast tonight, that actually might be a sense of relief. Because what I've been told is that when he's the MC, he likes to give a lot of pointers. He has some very specific requirements, and if you do not meet those requirements, he is not afraid to let you know. But in his honor, I will share his words of wisdom, and he has always said that if you are going to give a toast, it needs to be short and clever. And if it is not short or clever, it is a no-go. So if you have difficulty, those of you who are giving toast, remembering that, you can just think of our lovely bride and groom, who are both short and clever. No. See, I can say that, and it's not a roast because I'm also short, and I also happen to be very clever, so it's okay. But seriously, I have always felt so lucky growing up with Caroline as my cousin. We're only a year apart in age, so at times it felt like she was the older sister that I never knew I needed at some points. But we grew up so close, and I'll never ever forget all of our memories from Ponte Vedra and being at your beach house. One memory that stands out to me, I don't know why, and it always will, but the cousins were all over at the beach house. It was the afternoon. It was getting close to dinner, and there were no real grown-ups around. And Caroline just got on the phone, and I don't know, she was probably 9 years old, and just ordered a couple pizzas. And I was like, I'm 8, and I don't even know how to work a phone. This is incredible. So Caroline is just always, that's just one small example of how much she has taught me, and how long I have looked up to her. Tom, I have adored you from day one. I'm so happy that you're not only marrying Caroline, but marrying into this family. I can't wait to spend the rest of our holidays and family times together. So super excited. But enough from me. We are going to open up with some toasts from people who they know I will be calling them out, but who are giving toast tonight. And then if we have time, we will open up the floor. So we're going to start off with the mother of the bride, who sometimes I refer to as my badass aunt.
You are short and clever. So that is, and actually you gave me a really great lead in that you don't even realize. Sorry. So these two gentlemen are my prop masters. And this is sort of my toast formula. So, Anne's right, talking about my dad. So, at my rehearsal dinner, which a number of you in the room actually attended, my extraordinarily wonderful father famously and very lovingly called Steve an old shoe. Remember that? Well, Tom, my dear, I can say with equal love and affection that you're an old shoe too. I'm proud to see that when it comes to husband selection, Caroline followed in my footstep. In Tom, she found the man of her dreams, and into her arms he leapt. And beyond the shoe fetish, I'm afraid she picked up at least one other of my traits. While her shoe volume rivals Imelda Marcos, her clothing also leaves Tom's closet in dire straits. She has get ready, boys. She has always been my little angel. See the pictures? You might notice the role models: angel, devil, dunce. I think it was jester. Sorry, angel, devil, jester. The big three, exactly. She's always been my little angel and my beautiful baby princess. So I'm afraid I may have showered her with just a slight surfeit of dress. Who could say no to those big brown eyes and that beautiful little face? Tom, I'm so sorry. How could I ever know that it would lead to a clothing arms race? Tom, please consult extensively with Steve before you go off and go rogue. He mastered the art of tiny closet space before Marie Kondo made it vogue. To Deerfield she went for high school, totally violating our prenuptial rule. I said very clearly to Steve, absolutely no boarding school. I have to confess that for only once I was actually wrong, because at Deerfield she thrived, and look who she found. Jess, Waz, Meredith, and many, many more true lifelong DA friends abound. Don't cry, you're gonna make me cry. Then when she turned down Princeton, she broke my little tiger heart. Well, thank goodness there was Brother Ben, so I got a little restart. Not this one over here either. When Caroline saw Tom's sweet mug online, it was a quick swipe to the right. Mom, that's the modern version of love at very first sight. To Bumble, as Steve already pointed out, it's hard to go behind him. To Bumble, we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude. Without it, we wouldn't be all experiencing this incredible romantic interlude. So their life together is a living gerund. Hiking, biking, spinning, golfing, kayaking, and yes, of course, craft beering. To make the last one a gerund required some grammatical engineering. So Cinderella got her fella, and together they rewrote the tale. No more clock striking midnight. They are asleep by 9, absolutely without fail. So even though the clock no longer struck, the shoe absolutely fits. We are so thrilled to have Tom in our lives. His Q family credentials are fully legit. On a family vacation in Japan last summer, we put Tom to the Quazzo test. A night of family karaoke, a death-defying hike, and crazy times at the Magic Club convinced us all that Tom was the absolute best. However, Tom, I do have one little last thing to say. Tick-tock goes the clock. Not much time left before the wedding day. So I know that asking the father of the bride is a very old tradition, but I'm still waiting around to hear for you to ask me for my permission. Okay. I will let you off the hook and stop giving you grief. Ready, boys? As long as you always remember that little Q is always the chief. Chris is a little uncomfortable with that one, but anyway. Q, I gave you some shoes this summer to practice saying I do. Now these are for tomorrow and the newly minted Mrs. QE2. Show them all around. Mrs. It's a Mrs. So the moral of the story is, if the shoe fits, wear it. For a long and happy life together, you two will inherit. So here's to Caroline and Tom, a new and an old shoe. What I categorically know is how very, very much we all love the both of you.
Gran, you have another poet in the family. I know. We do like to brag that we do have a relative who was the first female poet in America, right? Right, so we know where it comes from. Next will be Caroline's uncle, our uncle, Uncle David. Sweet Dave. You can come on down.
Wonderful to be here, and I'm so happy to hear my father, who's been acknowledged so many times already, but that was going to be the basis of my toast. Many of you knew my dad, many of you didn't, but he had a saying, when everything was just right, he would say, "First class." And that, my dear, certainly applies to you. Since the day you were born, you were breaking new ground for Deborah and Steve, the first child, for all 4 grandparents here and not present, the first grandchild, for Poppy and me, the first niece. And it has been such a pleasure to watch you grow and glide through obstacles and achievements. It's absolutely extraordinary. And we find ourselves tonight on the eve of your next challenge, your next phase of your life. And yet again, you've introduced us to something, at least me, I seem to be one of the few in the room that didn't know about Bumble until I heard about it from you and Tom. But this amazing combination of technology and romance. This wasn't the way it worked in my day. And so a few weeks ago, Tom and Caroline came to Jacksonville to meet Kate and go over all the prenuptials. And I got a chance to meet Tom and not meet Tom, but to spend time with Tom. And we had a great time. And Caroline, I'm not really sure what you put into your profile on Bumble, but I immediately saw this obsession with craft beer. I didn't really know about the Green Bay Packers, but this is actually becoming more clear now. But the very healthy obsession with golf just pinned the deal. You are the perfect match for Steve. I mean, wow. So, anyway, seeing you together now, we can all see the connection. That with what started with a few perhaps mouse clicks or the tap on a screen has become a first-class romance. So here's to you. Cheers.
Okay, it sounds like Uncle Stevie might be the tech savvy. Maybe he set up that that Bumble page, looking for the perfect son-in-law. Okay, interesting. Next up, we have one of the Quazzo brothers, Benny Boo. Come on down.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Caroline's favorite brother. From 92 to 97, I had that by default. I then lost it for 18 straight years. And then Chris decided to go to Yale. So I've been at the top ever since. One of my most vivid and earliest memories of Caroline was together on the ski slopes. I didn't know it at the time, but the way we skied together would encapsulate our relationship as siblings. Wow. Yes, she was and still is faster, more controlled, and looks a hell of a lot better carving down the mountain than me. But the life lesson was very simple. It was, if I am looking to improve my life, I should follow her lead. Turn 1, make up your bed. Turn 2, read a book. Turn 3, hang out with people who make you happy. Turn 4, never sell yourself short. So Caroline, though I haven't followed all your turns and have had a few yard sales, you have been a true inspiration to me. When you first told me about Tom, I was pretty suspicious. You had been in the Bay Area all of a couple weeks and had told me you had found this great budding entrepreneur. First thing in my mind was this hipster who would go to Starbucks and bum the free Wi-Fi there. When I was hoping more for like an Elon Musk. I even canceled a few of our early meetups because I figured you probably wouldn't last and not sure it was worth my time. But fortunately, I stopped playing those games very quickly, and I'm so glad I did. Because after our first meal together, I found out quickly that you would fit into our family really well, and was crossing my fingers that you too would follow her tracks. I think sorry. Just gonna check what I'm getting at here. because I've lost it. Earlier this year, I had the good fortune to be there for the engagement in New Haven. And it doesn't really hit you that Tom is entering the family, or hadn't hit me until that point. And what really brought it home was seeing Caroline's face the moment I got off the elevator and seeing the true joy in her eyes and the happiness in both their faces. And so going forward, cheers to Tom and Caroline. You guys both make yourselves and each other better people. Everyone's better for your company. And I admire you two both greatly. So cheers.
Ben, Granddad would have definitely approved. That was short and clever, very clever, and included sports. He would have definitely been into it. Next up is the other favorite brother, Christopher. Where is Christopher? Over here. There you are.
Well, well, well. So, since you guys thought it would be a good idea to get engaged at Yale on a weekend that was supposed to be about me and my big thesis performance, I thought tonight would be a good time for me to announce that I honestly don't have a lot going on right now, so if anybody has any job leads or something, let me know. But this weekend is not about me. It's about Caroline and Tom and their celebration of their love. And you know, I have to say I'm really excited about gaining another sibling in Tom, because if there's anything I've learned about having an older brother, it's that they eat mostly with their hands, they can't spell basic words, and they're obligated to support me financially. So, looking forward to that. Thank you, Ben. No, but seriously, Tom, it has been seriously such a joy getting to know you these past few years. And honestly, it feels like you're a part of the family already. I mean, you've gotten to know us really, really well. You've seen Deborah behave passive-aggressively toward our tour guides on family trips. You've seen Steve operate a motor vehicle. You've seen Ben shotgun entire bags of those cheese straws that Gran always has at our house in Jacksonville. And you've seen me have absolutely no flaws that come to mind. Yeah, but most importantly, you make my big sister extremely happy, and seriously, nothing could make me happier. So even though it feels like you're part of the family already, I can't wait to make it official tomorrow. So cheers to Caroline and Tom.
Okay, this night might be about toasting Caroline and Tom, but it also seems like it's about roasting Ben Quazzo, which is also enjoyable. Next up, we have exactly. We have Tom's body double, his twin, Mike.
Hi, everyone. So I guess the big difference between the Quazzo and the Elnicks are the Quazzos have quite a height difference on us. The microphone keeps getting smaller over here. Yeah. I'm glad that I was introduced as Tom's body double, because a lot of people have come up to me already tonight and said, "Congratulations, Tom." And I look and I'm like, do I tell them? Do I just play along with it? Probably just play along with it. See how long this can go. maybe go to the bathroom. Then I go to the bathroom. Anyway, as a twin, Tom and I have had one of the most unique and personal relationships that one can experience. And so I thought tonight it would be fun to provide 10 insights from a guy who knows Tom pretty well. One, he has a knack for stealing your clothes. Almost all of my clothes have ended up in Tom's closet. In fact, he'd steal my clothes so often, people would think we're actually twins. Caroline, your dresses might not be Tom's style, but you can't be too sure. Always protect the clothes. 2, Tom loves cheese. Cheese curds, cheese string, fried cheese, cheese heads, cheesy jokes, anything cheese. 3, Tom's incredibly competitive. I would know, in high school, we graduated with the same exact GPA to the decimal point. We both ran track. Our fastest mile times were within a decimal second of each other. We both chose Brown. I think Caroline has Tom in every academic department. But it's tough to compete with Tom in deals. Which leads me to number 4. Tom's a deal guy. He loves a good deal. He'll literally buy anything as long as it's a good deal. He had 4 beers on the golf course today because Steve was paying for him. 5, Tom snores a lot, and he takes all the sheets. It's unfortunate that I would know because we lived together in Walnut Creek when we were starting our company, and we shared a 1-bedroom condo. And I'm not sure how Caroline ended up going on a second date with Tom while knowing that fact. But it may be because Tom has incredible jokes, which is number 6. Tom's incredibly funny. He's got the best sense of humor, and he can literally joke about anything. And Caroline plays right into it. They can literally laugh so many times about absolutely nothing. 7, Tom hates when you chew with your mouth open. Tom and I were traveling in Asia and Europe for about 5 months together. We were in Burma. It was a really long trek. There was no one else to talk to for 3 months because they didn't speak English. We went to grab a beer. I grabbed my beer. There were peanuts on the table. I thought, this is the life. I started popping my peanuts. Tom immediately got up, walked right out of the bar. I didn't see him for 2 hours. He came back and told me how frustrated he was with me because I was chewing with my mouth open. It's his number 1 pet peeve. Number 8, Tom collected Beanie Babies when he was a kid. I think he always knew this would come back to haunt him. And so I thought, if Caroline and Tom are in any financial debt, they could always sell Tom's Beanie Baby collection, which is probably worth $10 to $20. I looked up one of Tom's Beanie Babies on eBay last night, and it was $1. Number 9, Tom perseveres through everything. He'll never give up on anyone or anything. Through running, through school, through work, there are so many opportunities to give up, and he always doubles down on his efforts. And it's so inspiring to actually watch and see how he challenges every opportunity to become better. And number 10, Tom's my best friend. I never get sick and tired of being around him. And having someone that you can relate to and talk to every step of your way throughout life is amazing. And I think the funny part as I was making this list is I couldn't help but think how Caroline fit into every single sequence. And I thought, maybe not the stealing clothes sequence, but after Deborah's speech, it definitely fits. Caroline's incredibly competitive. She's got an amazing sense of humor. She loves cheese. She's always down for a good deal. And she's Tom's best friend. And so I'd love to have a toast to my best friend, to Tom's best friend, Caroline, and to a life of love and happiness.
That was incredible. I just want to know, was the tag still on the Beanie Baby? Because I was told that made the value go way up. Next up, we have one of Caroline's best friends, her maid of honor from Deerfield, Waz.
So I was actually going to talk about Caroline's love of cheese, but I had to revisit things. So as Ann just said, I'm Waz. I went to Deerfield with Caroline. And when you've been best friends with someone for almost 15 years, you think, oh, I'll sit down, I'll write this speech, it'll be so quick, it'll be fine. And I'm glad that I was not given a heads up about Granddaddy Hicks' rules because I think originally my speech started with Once Upon a Time in Deerfield, Massachusetts. But truly, when you've been friends with someone for almost a decade and a half, the line between friend and family obviously just completely disappears. Except for moments like when Caroline asks you, do you think that Julia the cat is actually my mom's favorite child more than me? And then that line immediately disappears and becomes in giant bold font, and you say, oh my gosh, I think my phone's ringing in New York. But to be completely honest, Caroline really stopped being my best friend about 13 and a half years ago, and now she's just my sister. And when I say she's my sister, it's because when I sat down to write this speech, all I could think about was Caroline's, what I think is her biggest flaw, which is her lack of sharing. Truly, her refusal and complete inability to share really anything. Food, deodorant, clothes, apparently, beds, toothpaste, pillows, and oddly, pens. Tom, I made you a list. I'll give it to you after. But really, it's actually unbelievable. Caroline has one of the biggest hearts in the entire world, but she won't give you an inch of Crest toothpaste. Yet she'll help herself to really anything of yours and not ask. But in all seriousness, my bond with Quaz is just beyond friendship, and it's not just our rhyming names. We have close to absolutely nothing in common, yet we have this love that just goes beyond everything. Caroline literally went to Africa to build trash cans and save the environment one summer. I drive an SUV, and my boyfriend works in oil and gas. Caroline is all math and science, and I'm humanities. But to be clear, there are some things that we do have in common. We both went to Harvard. I went to Swanee, the Harvard of the South. Caroline, after a tough decision between two safety schools, Steve's alma mater, the other Harvard, or Deborah's Princeton, Caroline, again, you wonder about Julia the cat, Princeton girl. And like sisters, we drive each other nuts. I've never met anyone else who in college, when informed there's a party the next day at 4 p.m., looks at me square in the eye at another party the day before and says, great, it's 9:30 p.m. We can still get 8 hours of sleep if we go to bed now and get up for a morning workout. Okay. But despite being yin and yang or zig and zag, we literally have an unbreakable bond in friendship, and that's truly and purely and completely a testament to Quaz. She has this magnetism and just pure warmth. Tom, I know you already know what a special person you're getting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Caroline is, to put it simply, just the best. She's smart, she's funny, she has the biggest heart of anyone, she's charming, she might learn to share one day. But most of all, she'll make you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh even some more. I've never seen our girl so happy until she met you. But truly, in all seriousness, while Caroline will never share her toothpaste, I knew the moment she met you when we sat down in San Francisco after your second date, Tom, she's not just sharing her heart with you, she's completely given it to you. Please join me in raising a glass to the two of them.
Sorry, Waz, for my cackle in the back. The Waz thing just really got me. Next up, we have Christian, who I don't know, but I'm very much looking forward to getting to know you this weekend.
Hopefully the height's good. So first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having us here today. It's an amazing night. Yeah, thank you. Warm it up a little bit. And I'm just following a bunch of really incredible speeches and kind of like it's testaments to what's going on here. So for those that don't know me, I'm Christian. I was Tom's teammate from Brown University, one of his first roommates in New York City. I've known him for the last 12 years. So the first memory I have of Tom is from September of 2008. Right before we started classes, we were on the bus to Cape Cod, and I'm sure there's some heads that are nodding here as well. And there was a lot of anxiety about getting to know new people, trying to understand, new names, what were the interests and things going on. And then I met Tom. And I have to admit, the anxiety lifted a little bit when I saw that there were two of them. And I had to say, oh shit, now I have to understand and try to differentiate between two people that are in my same class and that I'm going to get to know for the 4 years. But my fear was really abated pretty quickly in the sense that Tom was the kind, intelligent, sweet one, and Mike was the one that was sort of funny. So, just kidding. Sort of. For your wedding speech, we'll do something different. But in all seriousness, since that day, I've known Tom for 11 years and counting. And I can safely say that Tom is also very, very funny. But what else can I say about a man that I consider pretty much the utmost gentleman and one of my closest friends? Tom is an incredibly selfless person. He's regularly the friend who's in touch with everybody, including some of the workers from Brown University and things like that. And he genuinely cares when he reaches out to people. He's been in my corner countless times when I've needed him, from wiffle ball at Andrews Hall to being my first roommate in New York City, as I mentioned, including me in all your travel deals. I remember you calling me from San Diego. I was in San Diego, and you told me about a $400 deal to Barcelona. Thank you very much for that tip. And also for trying to goad me into becoming a Packers fan, which is still not happening to this day. And for that and more, I hope to count you as my closest friend and going forward. I also remember the first time I met Caroline. It was at Suprema, I believe. It was about three and a half years ago, an Italian restaurant in the West Village in New York City. Whip smart, decisive, and kind. She was the perfect yin to Tom's yang. Further down the road, Tom told me about his plans to propose to Caroline. And now in the past, Tom's had some trouble with some tough decisions. This includes what the right sandwich was to order at the gate, which was a Brown University favorite, or what Packers gear to wear for the big game. Should he just wear a cheese head? Should it be a pair of the receiver gloves? But it was clear that when he told me of his plans, that this was as simple a big decision as he could make. He loved Caroline with all his heart, and that's all that mattered. So I asked that we all raise our glasses to Tom and Caroline as they embark on a beautiful future together. I cannot wait to see what awaits you. Cheers.
Okay, and now we have Jess, our head cheerleader of our bridesmaid squad, to come make her toast.
So I am actually the shortest, not the most clever, but definitely the shortest of the bunch. Table 4, I got you. Don't even worry about it. Yes, thank you so much. As our lovely MC alluded to, I am Jessica Hammond. I'm our matron of honor, AKA the old lady mother hen. Feel good about it if I usher you. It's totally cool. It's out of love. With that said, I'm supposed to be taking care of you. Caroline, drink some water right now. Yeah, I know. I have a microphone we'll use. So I'm so excited to be here this weekend and just to share in the love that all of us are clearly showing for both Tom and Caroline and everyone else that's here. And I guess I'm just gonna start with how I met Caroline. So apparently, can I give it up for DA? Yeah. What? I, like so many people here, Caroline, AKA Quazzo, if I slip up, and the lovely Miss Francoise Seyfall, although I'm gonna totally mess up her name. I got you. I'm a little nervous, so like bending my knees. So I also went to Deerfield Academy, and I actually met Caroline well before I started on campus. She was actually my tour guide there. And I wanna say I was your first solo tour, is that right? Yeah. So I wish I could tell you that she made just like such an impression, that I remember all of the factoids about the history of the academy and the class sizes and obviously the seated meal schedule. But that's a blatant lie and not a great way to start off a speech. So what I do remember was Caroline. She was warm and enthusiastic, and she has this infectious giggle that I think we all know about. So when my tour wrapped up and I got into the car with my mom, and my mom asked me, crap, I was really not gonna cry. She asked me, what did you think of Deerfield? And I was like, Deerfield seems like a fine school. It's great. But Caroline, the tour guide, seems like someone I could really be friends with. She just felt like home. And so, like, super good news, squad. I'm psychic. And it turns out, guess who I became really good friends with when I got on campus? Spoiler alert, we're at her wedding. I know, so fun. So I'm gonna save us all a little bit of time and keep this, relatively brief and also not cry. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit in time and tell you that throughout junior year, Caroline and I became just really good friends. And it was just so much so that somehow I sweet-talked Caroline into living with me in one of the only 2 upperclassmen girl dorms on campus. Okay, yeah, I'm still hanging in there. It was this massive room, had plenty of space, but it was still the first time I'd lived with someone. And as my lovely husband will attest, living with someone is sometimes a challenge, and it can be really tough. Great news also, so lots of great news over here. Caroline and I turned out to be really compatible roommates. At least that's my end of the story, so, stick with me there. I'm sorry. And the vast majority of my memories from that year were only enhanced by my relationship with the most wonderful roommate and having someone like Caroline to share them with. So while I may have been her first roommate, Tom will be her last. And I couldn't be happier about the man I get to pass the torch to. Tom is warm, and he's easygoing. And you both complement each other so well that you bring out the very best in each other. So, former roommate to forever roommate, I'd like to be so bold as to pass on some sage advice to you. So first, number one, pretty important. Enjoy the dances together, whether they're planned or impromptu, and do keep in mind, the impromptu ones are almost always better. Number two, celebrate each other's achievements and support them through the rough patches. And when in doubt, reference item one with the impromptu dance parties. Bake cornbread and always be on the lookout for a giant chocolate cake that Martha will inevitably have delivered to you, because it means all of your friends are going to show up at your house. And last but most importantly, create your own Ruby Tuesday traditions and grow them as your family grows. But remember to just keep a few special ones for you guys. I apologize, I did not make it through this very well. I wish you all the best, and let's raise a glass to Tom and Caroline.
Caroline, Ruby Tuesday. I had no idea. Next up, we have Will, the older brother, the non-twin.
Good evening, everybody. So thank you for introducing me as the older brother. When we were little, a lot of people thought that we were triplets. And it couldn't be further from the truth, I don't think. So I appreciate, too, that I could look like Tom. So I'm going to start with the part of the story that I know best, which is my relationship with Tom. So I can't really tell you what it's like growing up as a twin. So I don't know Tom quite as well as Mike knows Tom. But I can tell you exactly what it's like growing up as the older brother of twins. But I'll keep it a little bit short because I can go on probably for the rest of the party, and we've already been here listening to 1,000 speeches. Growing up with these guys, everything turned into a 2v1. Whether it was sports, playing hockey in the driveway, soccer in the backyard, video games, it was always Mike and Tom versus Will. And for the most part, it felt fair at the time. I was like, I'm the older brother, it's cool, let these two guys take me on. Let's see what the best they could do. I learned very quickly that was the wrong sense that I should have been having, because one goal they scored on me, and I felt it for the next week, because they would rip into you hard. But these guys, long story short, are such a great team. We grew older. I started dating my now wife. I went to college. I started working, and these two still remained a team. They chose the same school, Brown. They chose not to dorm together at first, but they ended up under the same roof later on. And they graduated. They moved to New York City together. They started a business together. So long story short, these guys were a really great team. But now Tom is starting a new team of his own with Caroline. And don't worry, Mike is starting his own team too. We'll have another speech.
But even with those two separate teams, I know that together you guys will always be the best team. Now, I'm usually pretty good with details, but I'm not always great. But the one thing I really remember about Caroline when I first met her was her big smile and her laugh. It was one of those really big, contagious smiles, the kind that even when you had that really hard day, it still made you smile back at her. So even though I don't get to see you guys as often as I'd like to, being that we live 1,000 miles away from each other, you can see how clear it is that they care for each other, they trust each other, but most importantly, that they work together as a team constantly. And personally, being married for 6 years to my beautiful bride, yes, my bride after 6 years, don't learn some lessons. I know that these are the very basic building blocks to a successful marriage. So I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. Hopefully I was clever too. And I wanna get some other people on the mic, but welcome Caroline to the family. I look forward to calling you my sister. But most of all, I can't wait to watch as you guys grow together, building your own Team Elnick. And congrats to my brother and sister.
Okay, I know I promised open mic, but we have just heard so many amazing and thoughtful toasts about our lovely bride and groom. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to cut it off there. I do encourage email it, write it in a letter, post it on whatever people are posting on these days. Bumble, exactly. But now we're gonna hear from the one and only Tom Elnick, our groom, to close us out.
So life is serendipitous, and I am incredibly lucky and grateful to have such amazing family and friends, and I so thank you all for coming. So I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to a few folks. One, my parents. Every opportunity I've ever been given has come on the back of your sacrifice, and I am eternally grateful. So thank you. Steve and Deborah, thank you so much for welcoming me with open arms, for telling Caroline not to run for the hills, which is probably the right decision. A special thank you to Deborah, who has coordinated the entire weekend and has been fantastic. Tomorrow will be fantastic, but thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for putting on tonight. Margaret, David, Poppy, Rob, John, Lynette, Coco, thank you so much for tonight. It really means a lot, more than you guys know, so thank you. Steve, and Steve, Undeceased, thank you. Thank you, Grant, for putting on tomorrow. It, again, is more than you guys know, and I so appreciate it. Lastly, to Caroline, who I am so undeserving of. I love you, and you make me feel like the luckiest guy in every room, so I'm excited to spend the rest of our lives together.